Okay, let's edit the CSS so that this is actually looking good. And to do that, we're going to use CSS Grid. So I have my card CRM. In fact, let me just grab all of the classes here so that I can easily access them in my CSS later. So first thing we need to do is make sure that our height is equal to 100%. That way it fills the entire area that's available for the card. We also need to set the display to grid so that we can use this grid layout, and then we'll do grid template rows to set the rows, and we'll do a repeat 3 times of 1 FR. That will give us 3 equal sections. We might adjust it a little bit later, but for right now that'll be good enough. And we'll do the same thing for the columns. And we can take a look here and see that it is more or less filling the space correctly. Well, not really, but we can see that it's got the image and then this here and then that there. It's not really placing things in the places that we want them to be, though. The first thing we should do is make sure that this image doesn't take up the entire space, because it's trying to fill as much space as it can. So we should constrain that by giving it a very specific value for its width. So let's set our first row to be, say, 30%. That's going to give us 30% of the width. And then we'll do 1 FR for the other 2 sections to fill the remaining space. Oh, but that was for rows. I want that to be for columns. And now our image is playing just a little bit nicer. Just to make sure that the image is in the correct place, let's add a style for the image, and we'll set its width to be 100%. That way it's only going to fill the space that's allotted to it. Great, now we can actually see everything. Now they're not in the right places yet. There are 2 ways that we can make sure that they go in the right place. One of them is to specify the grid span for the element. So for example, if I want to put this guy in this grid area here, I can come down to the station list. We'll set it to be grid column 3, and that'll move it over so it goes from the first column to the second column to the third column over here. And now we have this lovely gap here in the middle, which is great. Looks like the reset password is now in the correct place as well, and select all is in the correct place. We just need to make sure that activate gets put in the right place as well. Activate needs to be underneath the reset password. And we want the activate button to be big and wide. So let's take care of that really quick. Activate will do the other way. We can set the grid template areas. What grid template areas allows us to do is to define named areas for each of the rows and column cells. So we have our ship image, and then we have blank, and then we have the station list, and then I add another row. Let's take a look at our image again. We have our reset password, and then blank again, and then our station list continues down. Then we have our activate button, and activate takes up 2 of the columns, and then we have our select all, and then the last row is just going to be power, power, power. Okay, so now if I want my activate CRM to fill its activate slot, I just have to say grid area and then give it that activate. So now this is in its place, everything else is in their places, well except the select all since the activate moved. So I'm going to put everything into its grid area properly. Awesome. This is actually getting really close to matching this. I'm going to do 2 more things. I'm going to make it so that this list group is actually extending to fill its entire vertical space. So we can see this list group is has a class of list group, and if I give it a height of 100%, then it fills the entire area, which is what I want. So here in the station list, I will select the list group and set its height to 100%. We also should put a little bit of space between these items so they're not so claustrophobic, so we can do that with a gap, and we'll make it 20 pixels. I don't think that's enough though, I'm going to make it 40 pixels. Okay, that gives us a little bit more breathing room. Okay, now that we have our layout taken care of, we can add some interactivity.